Yeah, and welcome back, Central Oregon Recording. We are looking at the SSL The Bus Plus today, uh, which is this beautiful thing right here. Super excited to have this with us. And I'm going to be doing a basic look at this of all of its features, but before I get into all of its fun features, I want to compare the 4K mode of this guy against the Warm Audio down here. This is the Warm Audio Bus Comp. We've had this working for us, I don't know, past 6-8 months, and it's been a great unit. It's been a lot of fun to use, but we made the decision to jump up to the Bus Plus because it offered a few extra features that we were really looking for, and specifically the dynamic EQ and mid-side mode, which would be great for some things that we tend to do. So yeah, we went ahead with this. So let's talk about this little guy right here, the Bus Plus. It is quite a fantastic unit, and you know, it's definitely beyond what the Warm can do, for sure. I mean, you know, this is a unit that that has way more features. You've got multiple different modes on here. So this has your 4K mode here, or over here on the other side if you're using it in dual mono and or mid side. You've got a few different buttons here to change some settings. The low THD takes out some of the distortion and such that happens when you're compressing hard and then your low end is getting distorted. That's what this does. The feedback mode changes the detector, where the detector for the compressor sits in the signal chain. So this gives you a smoother or punchy, depending on how you have it set, compression. 4K mode changes the way that the whole setup is inside. So you've got the balanced ops when it's out. So this is like a new SSL style desk. And the button in gives you unbalanced, adding some extra grit and distortion. You can push and hold. And of course you can change the distortion. You can see the colors hopefully changing there. You can change how much grit you get in this unit. So pretty cool. It's pretty nifty little feature that you can do there. Now I did some tests, and I'll actually show you the tests here. We'll do this live because, well, we're live and it's fun to do tests live like this. So yeah, we're going to take a look at the distortion compared to others, specifically compared to the Warm. So we can kind of see what it looks like or what it sounds like. And, you know, I'll probably dive into some of the other settings as well. But for now, let's go ahead and jump in here. So here's a song that I've been working on or had been working on. This is now hopefully getting out to the world. This is from a band called The Night Channels. And this song is called Juice Mountain Part 1. So we're going to take a look at this. Decent amount of stuff going on. So to give you a quick rundown of our signal chain as well, I figure we should probably look at the signal chain settings so you understand exactly what's happening here. So let's take a look. So the entire mix is coming through the Burl up here. This is a B32 Vancouver. Right now I've got the BX5 transformers and the gain turned off, so this is running at just Unity, somewhat clean. And this then mults out into two different settings or two different outputs. So number one, input one here goes to the Warm Audio Bus Comp, and input 2 goes to the Bus Plus. So these are both seeing the exact same signal, and then from each of these, the Bus Comp from Warm is going into input 1 of the Dangerous, and input 2 is coming from the Bus Plus going into input 2. So 1 is the warm, 2 is the SSL. You can see I have clip guard engaged on here just in case we go over. I'm going to go ahead and turn off our transformer insert here on the dangerous, so we're not affecting the tone in any way there. Again, this is just the clip guards just to catch things if we happen to go over, which I hope I don't. So let me kind of break it down on how I do this too. So mono information, of course, gets sent out as you would expect. So that goes out into like kick, snare, etc. Things like that go through the mono. Everything else going stereo. So it's kind of just doing its own thing there. Just making a quick adjustment here. Okay. And that's kind of how all of that works. It's pretty simple. Mono information, monoed, stereo information, stereoed. So everything's going through the burl, hits either, well, both of the compressors at the same time, and then we can A/B between the two of them. So let's do this. Let me get this muted. And I'm just making, oh, I guess I should show you. I'm making some quick changes here in Pro Tools. So this is where our audio is coming in right here on this print bus. So let's make sure this is going out to the main outputs so everybody can hear. So if I just activate this, if I hit play, we should have audio coming through. Actually, let me go ahead and turn off both compressors for now. So let's just check. Cool. I just switched real quick between input 1 and 2 on the dangerous, no change, so our audio's looking great there. So let's kind of dive into this a little bit here and take a look. So first thing I want to do here, let's just make a new aux channel here. And we are going to send this. See, I change where everything goes. So we're just going to send this out, see 1920 for now. And all I'm going to do here is put a signal generator on here. Ah, yes, the signal generator. So lovely. All right, we're going to mute that. So we don't have to listen to it there. But my goal here, and I will set this up here, and let's do a little split, and bam, let's look at this. Okay. Probably could have done this the other way too. Let's set this for like negative 14. That's a good level. Negative 14. So I'm sending this out into the burl, and then from the burl, it is hitting both compressors, and from there, it hits the dangerous. So we can just take a quick look at that. So again, going through the burl up here, it's coming down into both compressors and coming back into the dangerous. So I'm going to go ahead and activate each of these. So again, I'm putting the transformers in on this. This is not quite the same. Again, the 4K mode here on this guy is actually hitting the op amps, and this is hitting transformers. So it's two different types of things going on, I guess. But we'll kind of play with it. We'll see what happens here. All right, so let's see here. I'm going to drop our threshold down here till we kind of rest on 4. So what I'm shooting for here. It's about right there-ish. Let's see what happens if I change this. We're going to change this to 100 hertz. See if it's affecting roughly the same. Not quite. Okay, so there. Go back to 1000. Now that's really interesting. Back to 100. You can actually see, interestingly enough, that, oh, you know what? No, wait. High passes are both down. So should be no change there. But immediately, again, we're not listening to anything, but you can visually see that at 100 hertz is what I'm going through right now. Actually, let me do this. I'll turn it on so you can hear it. Hopefully you can hear that little low hum there. So at 100 hertz, I'm pushing it through both compressors, and our needles are close. They're really close. If I change this, let's go to 500. You can see here that, interestingly enough, the solid state logic is changing the compression it's doing on that one. So almost like it has an EQ of some kind on it, like it's letting a lot more through. Actually, let me go ahead and take our makeup gains down to nothing as well, so we can. Yeah, the SSL definitely is not compressing that as much. Oh, and sorry, one thing I forgot. Hey, here we go. Let's get it in the right mode. Let's go back down to 100. If you didn't notice, I was in the summed stereo. I was messing with this a little earlier. The summed stereo mode basically sums your left and right together, so it affects middle information more than side information. So I changed it back, so let's go ahead and try and dial this in now and see if we get roughly the same settings here. So 100 hertz, both looking good. 500 hertz, looking good. 1000 hertz, looking good. Let's go up to like, let's jump up, let's go 5,000. All right, so right there, pull this down some more so it's not, let's take it out so it's not annoying. So the top end, the SSL isn't hitting the top end as hard. That's interesting. Okay, let's jump up again. I'm going to go to 8,000 for fun. 8,000. Let's go to 10,000. Let's go to 5. Yeah, we'll go to 12,000. 15. I'm just kind of watching the needles as I change this. 15,000. 18,000. And last but not least, 20K. Okay, so there's almost, I would say, almost like a shelf. Maybe something's going on in the SSL there where it's not really grabbing that top end as much. So in theory, the SSL is letting a little more highs through than the warm audio is. Maybe. Hard to say. Again, this is just random testing that I'm doing here, just throwing things at it. So let's try some pink noise. Let me go ahead and pull this in. Pull in some pink noise here that you can hear. All right, let's go ahead and look at the needles here. They're pretty close. I can maybe like, yeah, that's looking pretty close. These needles are doing about the same thing, roughly. So we'll try that. We'll see what that does. Let me go ahead and jump back to my noise. Yeah, again, that SSL just seems to be letting some extra highs pass through. So kind of interesting. Okay. Well, for now, I'm going to go ahead and change this back. So let's see here. So we look at this. I'm going to go ahead and change this back to 1,000 hertz or 1 kilohertz. Bring this up so you can kind of hear it there. Okay. Actually, go ahead. Let me go ahead and leave this up for now. Let me grab frequency analysis. And get our preset going here. Yeah, we'll leave the precision on 7. That looks pretty good to me. Okay. So the idea here, actually, let me go ahead and let's blow this up so you can see that. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to pull this down for now. So right now, we are pushing through 1,000 hertz or 1 kilohertz. We are pushing this through the warm. And I'll show you. Bam. Okay, so right now we're going through the warm here. And you can see here on the screen, we've got our 1 kilohertz, and then we've got some harmonics here. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take out the transformer. Still there. So the transformer isn't actually doing this. So we can see, I put it back in, take it out. It's just, that's what's going on there inside the unit itself. Let's go ahead and switch to the SSL. So I'll go to input 2. Wow. Much bigger. Very interesting. So I'll switch back to 1. You can see like this first harmonic here, back to 2, is much larger. Back to 1. This next harmonic is actually bigger in the warm compared to the SSL. And then the third one here is not even present in the warm, but it is in the SSL. Again, this is the SSL. You can see there's a little guy right there, and then another one, which neither, let's see, this one's right there. So that one is present in the warm, which is what we're looking at, and barely present in the SSL. The next one, not present in the warm, is in the SSL. And yeah, so that's interesting. Very, very interesting. So I don't know exactly how they have the warm set up. I don't know if they're running it in the same unbalanced mode or if they're running it balanced. Because if I take it out of 4K mode, so if I take a look here. So 4K mode right here, I'll go ahead and take it out of 4K mode, make sure we're in number 2. And then let's go ahead and look back at what's happening here in Le Pro Tools. Right here, so this is the clean, quote, clean mode inside the SSL. If I switch to the warm again, you can see there's the warm. So interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. Okay, so, you know, distortion levels slightly different, which isn't a big deal. I mean, as far as I know, they're running the same op amps, but again, it's hardware. They're going to sound a little different. They've putting this into play a little differently. But for what I'm doing, I'd like to run the SSL in the 4K mode because that is what the warm bus comp is supposed to be emulating, right? That's the idea. So let me go ahead. I'm going to get rid of our signal generator inside Pro Tools here. I'm just going to bypass this for now. I'm going to go ahead and bring this back up so we can see it. Awesome. Okay. And I'm just going to close that real quick. And just got 1 second here. Okay. I'm going to run the song, at least a piece of the song here. Again, this is by a band called Night Channels. This is Juice Mountain Part 1. Hopefully this is coming out soon. I'm excited to get this out. This is a local band here in Central Oregon. I had a lot of fun making the music. So I'm gonna use this as a little demo. We'll listen to the full song and then let's break down pieces, so like stems. We'll listen to drums, etc., things like that. We'll play with a little bit. And again, let's go ahead and look. So again, I'm gonna go ahead and activate 4K mode here. random side note, this is on the lowest distortion setting. This thing has way more distortion than the warm does, which can be cool, especially doing some dirty drums, things like that. But we're going to set it up there. So I calibrated that. I'm leaving the gains, the makeup gains down, just letting it kind of run. And let me go ahead. I'm just going to do a new, and we're going to call this, let's go. I'm going to call this warm. Oops. Bus comp. We'll make it all capital, because why not? Warm bus comp. Okay, I'm going to run from the start to this little marker right here. We're just going to record that area. Get rid of that for now. Yeah, we'll get rid of that for now. So I'm going to record this little area right here so we can then compare the warm versus the SSL. So again, this is going through the warm bus comp. Here we go. Real quick, I just realized, I don't have my audio routed so you guys can hear. That's always fun, right? You're like, hey, I can't hear anything right now. So, one sec. The fun thing of doing this by yourself and not having anybody around to help is that you have to do everything yourself. But okay, let's try this again. Hopefully we have audio this time. Let's take a look here. Here we go. All right, so there's the warm print. Let us go ahead. I'm going to make a new one, and we're going to call it SSL The Bus Plus. Cool. Same spot. I am going to go ahead, and we're going to switch over. So again, input 2 here. Now will be the SSL. Let's see what this one sounds like. All right, and there is the Bus Plus version. All right, let's go ahead and zoom in here a little bit, and we'll take a look at what is going on. All right. And let's go ahead, let's just make this extreme. Okay. So now we can really see what's going on up here, hopefully. All right, so there's the Bus Plus. Let's switch back to the warm. Okay, so immediately the warm is printing a little hotter. Now that just could be a makeup gain thing. Let me see here. Because the SSL does have negative makeup gain. Whereas the warm, it's just pushing hard. Now, something I remember reading about the warm is the makeup gain is before the transformer. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that means you could, in theory, drive the transformer on the warm to get some extra transformer grit, saturation, etc. So a little different design, you know, that transformer. And again, I had the transformer out on this one. So let me just go ahead and I'm going to try and gain it up in Pro Tools here just by using our clip gain. Take it by like a dB. And we'll switch back. It's close. It's really close. Maybe like one and a half. Let's just see. So as a fun, doing it by my eye. That looks close. I could almost come up maybe just a little more. Yeah, we'll leave it right there. Okay, so yeah, of course there's a difference, right? We're printing through analog circuitry. It's kind of the beauty of analog is it's different. But I'm looking at two things. Looking at the crest factor, so like our RMS stuff here, the big blobs, versus our transient peaks on each of them. Just kind of just visually looking at everything to see what's doing what. I guess I should also note that I was running a 30 millisecond attack with a 4:1 ratio, auto release, no high pass filter, and again, no makeup, just trying to match them as close as possible. All right, so again, this could maybe come up just a tiny bit more to match. We'll take it to 2 dB. We'll see if it's looking closer. Yeah, it was almost too much now in the gain. Take it down to, too far, a little too far. Let's try 1.7. 1.7 dB. That's pretty close. Here, for funsies, I'm going to go ahead. We're going to duplicate this. And I don't care about any of this. We're just going to insert after the last track. And I take these both down to jumbo. Try and get them together. All right, let me grab the warm here. We're going to move it down. And I'll switch to the SSL version. Okay, let's grab our little zoom tool so we can really take a look at these. And let's see here. Let me grab both. Go back up to extreme, see if we can make it fit. We will make it fit. Yeah, almost. Close enough, though. Okay. Oops. Wrong button. I'm in my zoom still. Get out to zoom. Okay. So I'm going to do something fun. So we're kind of looking at this. I'm just going to grab, if it'll let me, scoot down a little more. Let's see here. I'm going to grab the SSL version. I'm going to try and just pull it over the top. So now we can hopefully see if it'll let me do. It's not gonna let me do what I want to do. Come here, you come here. Okay. So there we go. So we can kind of use Pro Tools' fun little shading thing to see how close that they match. I mean, that's pretty close, right? I'm not just the only one seeing this. Like, that's darn close. I mean, granted, yeah, I mean, some of the transients are a little different here and there, but overall, like, okay, let's go the other way, right? Let's do the opposite. Let me grab the warm version. We'll pull it up. Let's see. Let me go up a little so we can see it. Okay. Same idea. Like, yeah, I mean, I goosed the Bus Plus up with clicking a little bit, so there's gonna be slight discrepancies, but that is really close. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. For funsies, let's go ahead and just play these back to back. For those of you that don't know, a fun way to ever do this, if you need to, and you're in Pro Tools, you go to Options, come down here to Solo Mode, change your solo mode to XOR. It cancels your previous solo. So now, if I take these out of solo safe, and we'll shrink these down a little so we can see both of them. Jumbo. Okay. And let's just zoom out just a bit. Okay. There we go. I can now solo between the two of these. So if I grab my warm there, you can see it's soloed and everything else mutes out. And I can grab my other one. And I'm not pushing the same. I'm just pushing one button. It's switching back and forth for me. So let's give this a shot. Let's see what happens. Oh, let me make sure nothing else is going to be coming through. We should be fine. Alrighty. So I'm going to compare the Bus Plus with the warm comp. And of course, you'll see, hopefully, watch for the solo buttons to switch. So here we go. Okay, I'm definitely hearing a difference. I'm sure you guys are too. I'll do it again. Massive difference, right? That was huge, at least to my ears. But tell me what you think. Let me know what you're hearing or what you're seeing. I'm gonna do that again. Here we go. All right, I did it a little quicker there than the last one. That's huge to me. I hate to say this, but the warm almost sounds a little anemic. There's just a richness and more filled lower mids in that SSL to me. That's crazy. Very, very cool. I mean, we haven't really played with this unit at all. I mean, I got it installed and I messed around with the features on it to kind of get a sense of how it all works together as one cohesive unit. But wow, that's cool. It's always nice when you hear stuff like that. So yeah, there's a difference in sound. I mean, I would expect some just because of the price point. Now, granted, I didn't do the transformers on the warm, and that does alter the sound. It changes a little bit. So, you know, maybe engaging that would help it get closer. I don't know. I can always run the test if someone's interested. Not a problem doing that. Yeah, so interesting though, right? Okay, so the question is really in that mode, because that's what the warm is based off of. Is the SSL better? Yes or no? I really can't say yes or no because it would depend on the mix. A lot of times how we mix is through the specific unit. So when we do a mix, I'm not creating the mix in the box and then sending it to this at the very end, expecting it to do a thing. I mix through it, right? That's kind of the beauty of a stereo compressor like this that you would put on a master bus, is you're mixing through the unit to capture the sound or use that sound consistently to then tweak as you hear it. So, maybe I would boost some extra like low mid richness into there, maybe open the top end up a little bit more if I were using the warm versus the SSL. Now, is the warm going to go away? No, definitely not. In fact, the warm bus comp's going to probably move as a drum bus for us. It's going to go over in a little rack off to the side so we can just do stereo prints, even just, squashing the crap out of the drums and blending it back in like a New York style parallel compression thing. It might get used on other stuff too, who knows? And it's just nice to have a different flavor. Because the SSL has so many more options. And this is where it gets interesting, because with the SSL, I feel that you're paying for more than just that one setting, right? That's the idea, is that, you're dropping almost $3,000 at the time of this video, which is, middle of 2022. Yeah, you're getting a lot more, bigger bang for your buck, I guess would be the great word. So let's just take a look. Take a look at this thing. So I kind of ran through it in the beginning, but let's go over it again. We'll start here with the normal compression stuff. So 4K mode activates your 4K mode, right? It is changing how the op amps are inside the unit. So you've got balanced mode when the light is off, unbalanced when it's on. What does this do? It adds more grit and stuff to the sound. So you're looking at like an old vintage SSL, like 4K, 4000G, 4000E, versus a new, what are they? It's the, what are the new console? I can't think of them off the top of my head, but the new consoles would have this style. From there, again, the feedback changes the detector circuit, so you can go from more punchy when it's off, like a standard SSL, to putting it in, it moves the detector circuit. So now you're getting a much smoother style compression. Low THD gets rid of any distortion and such in the low end when you're compressing hard. So, maybe if I'm doing hip hop, rap, etc., maybe I do that. And now I've got lots of lows coming through, not to mention with the side chain filter there, and easier, gentler compression. So there's a mode. I'm doing a rock song. I want the 4K mode on, and I'm going to crank it up, to there, and add some extra grit and thickness into the sound. Classical piece, same thing, like easier, but maybe keep the low end where it is. An indie rock piece, or something like that, like super, super gritty, and go full grit on there and have fun with it. Then not to mention we get into the different modes. So classic stereo, right? Left and right are coming in and it's compressing to what it's seeing. Next mode is summed sidechain stereo. Sums your left and right together, thus affecting your mid-range information, sorry, not your mid-range, your mid-information, so kick, snare, vocals, etc., anything panned in the middle, affecting that or listening to that more so than what's on the sides. So you can get like a cool pumping effect if you wanted to. Next one, dual mono. Now you can run left versus right, and say the mix is unbalanced, you need to balance it out. You can now do that on this guy. Last one, mid-side. Left side affects all of your middle information, usually again, kick, snare, bass, vocals, etc. Side information, guitars, pianos, strings, effects, etc., things like that. Now you can affect and you can bring up more of that stuff. Beyond that, we've got the dynamic EQ. Again, a whole nother beast, right? So this guy, we can compress when turning counterclockwise, and we can expand when turning clockwise on low frequency and high frequency information. So if we kick those in, you can see that we can do, I can expand, I can bring it back down to compress, and then I can gain up the lows. And over here, if I'm in stereo or sidechain stereo, I can gain up the highs. So and I have like an EQ with dynamics on it. I can change the speed of the compressor, put it into auto mode. I can also make the high frequency be a bell instead of a shelf. If you play the game, and for all of you millennials, no, I'm not talking about the game. If there's a game built into this little toy, if you boot it up, play the game, win the game of guessing colors, you unlock another mode. Yeah, thanks SSL. That was actually really fun to do. The other mode allows you to have a transient expander. Now all of a sudden you can expand kick and snare hits and make the snare and etc. sound larger than life. I did a quick test on it. It sounds way cool. Not something I would probably use on a whole mix, but definitely on a drum bus, things like that. Really cool. So the feature set inside this thing is immense. Do you need all of this? I don't know. Do you? I can't answer that question for you. I mean, it's a huge step up because of all the features it has. This is definitely a piece of kit that you would use consistently because of everything it has. The warm bus comp doesn't have a lot of that stuff, but the warm bus comp still sounds really good. Again, it's why it's not leaving the studio at all. But yeah, the SSL, the Bus Plus, it's a fantastic unit and has so much features, even features I didn't even go over. But we can definitely look at some of that stuff. So let's, for fun, let's do some more of that. Let's dive back into Pro Tools here and look at what else. So I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to get rid of this guy. Yes, that's fine. Goodbye. So long. Avitasen. Adieu. All right. Actually, you know what? We'll just do this. Don't need to make a new one. So again, just going to grab this one area. I figure we'll use the front of the song because, why not? Let's see here. I want to do some fun stuff here. So we're going to dive into Pro Tools a little bit more. But we're going to look at the Bus Plus here. So I'm going to go ahead. Let's see. I'm going to scroll up here for a minute. Oop, maybe. All the way to the top. Let's grab our drums. See if this is going to do what I want it to do. And the answer is yes, it is. Perfect. Okay. Yep. Cool. We got drums. Drums are great. Let's get dirty. Let's see what this thing can do. So I'm going to run through a few different settings. I'm going to go ahead and activate that 4K mode. Actually, let's go ahead and just tab up to there. And we'll say like to there-ish. So it kind of starts up over. I'm going to let the drums run, and I'm going to mess around with this guy. In fact, let's go ahead. I'll go full screen on the SSL so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So here we go. Okay, so if you couldn't tell there, what I was basically doing is increasing my attack all up to 40 milliseconds, dropping my release back down a little bit, and I was messing with the mix knob to kind of add some extra snare sounds into that just by using that. So like, there's a great example of something you can do. I was messing with the 4K mode, increased it all the way up to super grit so we could hear that. The feedback, to kind of lessen how much punch there was, low THD to kind of let some of that kick drum through a little bit more. And then of course the side chain, same thing. Let's keep messing with it. So here we go. All right, this mode right here, the G mode, when you push this in, changes basically the crossovers and stuff like that inside here. So you can look it up. Basically, this acts more like a G console and how the low frequency gain and everything works. So anyway, yeah, that's what I'm just going to activate that. So again, that one was on the low frequency right here. I was compressing all the way down and then gaining back up with this guy. So I was compressing super hard on the low end only and then gaining up that low end back. Let's mess with the high end more. Okay, so doing the same thing there, high frequencies, expanding on one side, compressing, going counterclockwise, and then gaining it up over here or gaining it down, changing how that works. This does not go into G mode at all when it's in this mode. G mode is only for the low end, so you just see that, if you can see it barely, that light is red right there for that kind of stuff, letting you know that this right here is is there for that one reason. Yeah, good times. Okay, so let's keep diving in here. We're going to keep looking at such. Let's look more. Let's look at the transient expander, because the transient expander is really cool. It's a really neat feature that we can look at. So go ahead and activate it by pushing that button. And now the high frequency is going to act as a transient expander, only, of course, going clockwise, expanded. So here we go. All right, and you'll notice that the high frequency gain doesn't do anything when you're in this mode because you're just expanding that top end. You can definitely hear that transient expander doing its thing. Pretty neat. So from beyond this, again, like all of this, now we can start looking at going even further in the different modes. Let me just kind of jump into the mid side because that's really the mode that's gonna do a lot of changing here. So hit the mode button. Actually, we can and then go all the way to mid side like that. Okay, so now this side affects the middle, this side affects the sides. You'll notice actually when you switch from a stereo to a dual, buttons and things will actually, they will copy each other, which is pretty cool. Of course, the knobs won't because it doesn't have that ability. That'd be kind of cool though. So yeah, so let's just go ahead and match some settings here. So 0.3 attack, 0.3 attack, my release. We'll go to auto 2, 4 to 1. All of this is pretty much the same. Sidechain is out. My makeup gain is roughly there. We'll start there. And threshold was there. Okay. So again, middle information, side information. Here we go. Also, another thing we can do, if I push and hold, I can solo mid versus side. Pretty neat. All right, so let's listen to the mids. Something else to note, you cannot affect or boost the high end when you're in dual mono or mid side. Okay, maybe keep going here. Okay, gonna mess with this a little bit more. I'm gonna bring up the makeup gain on the sides and we can see how wide we can make these drums sound. Here we go. Yeah, so mid-side on the drums. I mean, you know, why not? So again, this thing, so many features. It's so much. So much. It's a fantastic unit. I'm really excited to have it in the rack. I will be working with it a lot. I'll definitely take some time to dial in some specific settings depending on genres, etc. You know, yeah, I wish I had it 10 years ago, but I would have known what to do with it. But yeah, it's really cool. I pretty much went through most of the features in general. Yeah, there's more to it. You know, I was just doing basic 4-to-1, etc., etc. But for mastering stuff, you could do a lot of cool stuff with it. You know, if you were using it, you know, just like that for doing stem work, bouncing out drums, guitars, vocals, etc. It's got a lot of features. Speaking of which, it does have stereo sidechain on it. So for those of you that want to do stems and things like that, have to bounce that out, it's really simple. You know, make a copy of your print, send it out, a secondary set of outputs, feed it into the sidechain, activate the external sidechain, and then this compressor will, of course, read that information and react to that. But then you can just print your drums, your bass, your guitars in stereo stems through the actual unit itself, and it will compress as if the whole mix is there, and then you've got that beautiful compression affecting each individual element. And if you, in theory, put it all together, it should somewhat react like it did when the whole mix was through. Yeah. So again, do you need it? Not, probably not. You know, unless you're really diving in and using all of the features on this and working with it consistently, it's not something I'd run out and buy. If you really want that stereo compression, the Warm Bus Comp does a great job and did a great job and still does a great job for us every single day. And it will continue to work on drums and other things like that and have fun. But it is a beautiful piece of kit. And so shout out to SSL for making this. This is absolutely fantastic unit. Really, really happy to have it. If you want to see me do more stuff like this, more gear shootouts, other types of gear, etc., feel free to subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'm going to try and start doing more of these, hopefully, as we've gotten things rolling again around here in the YouTube world. Again, doing it by myself, it's a lot of fun. This takes a lot of time. So feel free to leave a comment down below if you want to have me change anything, or you know, you can even send me some mixes of your own, see what it sounds like going through this system. More than happy to do so. Yeah, thank you guys for watching this video and checking out the SSL The Bus Plus versus the Warm Audio Bus Comp. I can't wait to put this thing into action and get some mixes through it. It'll be a fun one. Enjoy the rest of your day, evening, morning, whatever time you happen to be watching this, and peace and love, y'all. Have a great rest of the day.